There's so many line arrays out there. I mean, every man and his dog has a line array. What do you think makes such a difference with the Alcons product as against Joe Schmo's line array?
What sets us apart in general is the system philosophy. So we bring the whole package with amplification, processing and the speaker system. As said in general, specifically addressing answering your question, with line array, if you look at the theory of line array, the ideal of a line array is to get 100% coupling behavior, so you can control in the far field the amount of throw of the sound, the intelligibility of the sound, and for that you need an ideal coherent cylindrical wavefront. That means that if we specify 15-degree vertical dispersion or a 10-degree vertical dispersion, that 10 degrees should start at 20 kilohertz and of course gradually goes wider the lower you get in frequency. However, with, as I mentioned before, a spherical radiating loudspeaker system, like a compression driver, and to convert this round radiating projection into a spherical, like a Coca-Cola can type of projection, is quite difficult. And it is very difficult to, if not impossible, but what's impossible nowadays, to create a waveguide that controls all the wavelengths from maybe 1 kilohertz up to 20 kilohertz. So in practice it seems that all the line arrays suffer from what we call incoherent wavefront. So somewhere at the high frequencies the coherency of the wavefront, the projection accuracy breaks up. That results that you get spikes shooting from the array downwards, in most cases unfortunately in your lavalier microphone on stage, or shooting upwards against the ceiling. Now the quality of the line array is largely determined by the amount of control it has in the mid and high frequencies. So in average, and most of the line array systems you see here on the Plaza show have their breakup at about 8.5–9 kilohertz. So beyond 8 or 9 kilohertz, the frequency control, the projection control, is completely lost in the vertical plane. So you get spikes from 8 kilohertz onwards, shooting upwards and downwards. A special feature of what we have in the controlled dispersion is we have completely controlled cylindrical dispersion up to 20 kilohertz. So if you put two cabinets under each other at 0-degree angles, so they should be working 100% together in the same field, you get the coupling of 1 + 1 is 2, or maybe even 1 + 1 is 2.5, because you get more of the individual sum. In practice, other systems offer 1 + 1 is maybe 1.5. So how do you detect that, which is an important thing? First of all, you're standing in front of house, you put 3 dB in, and the line array is aimed towards you, you should get 3 dB out of it. With systems that are not coherent, so incoherent, means you get probably 1 dB out of it in the face, you get 1 dB shooting on stage and 1 dB shooting upwards. So the experiencing throw of a system doesn't mean, in our theory, that it's loud over a long distance, but it's like you have intelligibility over a long distance, and intelligibility is completely separated from the sound pressure level. So in other words, our line arrays have the most coherent wavefront of any system on the market, and that brings that it has the best throw of any system on the market, regardless of the sound pressure level. So if you play the systems at a very low level, because there is no compression threshold, we can play at the absolute minimum level and you still can hear every detail at a distance of 10, 20, 30, 40 meters.
Is there a particular type of company that would come and take Alcons on board over a similar product?
Yeah, we had envisioned that we when we started that, you know, we would like to be in the top range of the market, so the true professional users, and automatically you end up in applications where the quality of the system is a decisive factor. around the world we seem to have a quite clear positioning in the theater market, in the smaller touring market, so with jazz, classical applications like that.
Is there a particular type of company that would come and take Alcons on board over a similar product?
Yeah, we had envisioned that we when we started that we would like to be in the top range of the market, so the true professional users, and automatically you end up in applications where the quality of the system is a decisive factor. Around the world we seem to have a quite clear positioning in the theater market, in the smaller touring market, so with jazz, classical applications like that. And that is also for a reason why when we started we decided not to start with very big Formula One type of sound systems, but on medium sound systems.
So you don't really see it as particularly a rock and roll system? It's...
Well, the funny thing is that it can be just as a rock and roll system as it can be a classical or jazz system. The funny thing is that you have to dig a bit deeper in why a rock and roll system is called a rock and roll system. And the immediate thing people say, yeah, but you need the distortion and blah blah blah. Well, we feel that it's not about the distortion, but with the compression driver you do get the distortion, but you also get the compression. And in our opinion, the compression and the tonal balance of the system decides for what application you can use it. So, for instance, for classical, you don't like a lot of heavy low-end response. You would like to have a crystal clear top end. If you look at like acoustical music, like jazz or world music, you would like to have a flat response. And if you look at like rock and roll, you would like to have a bass, low-mid, heavy response. Not so much on the mid-high, not so much clarity, and have somewhat clarity on the top end to make it fresh sounding, but add a certain doses on the master faders of compression, and you truly get a fantastic sounding rock and roll system. However, in the market people are like, this is rock and roll and that is musical, or that is theater, or that is classical or jazz system. It's very, very versatile, but you have to create your own taste, and it's possible to do so. The total package of a, let's say, medium-sized, small to medium-sized touring system requires not only great sound quality, as we all know, it has to be fitted with a very safe, with a safety rating we have is 10:1 flying system. The thought behind it is we have a setting up position where the cabinets are face down on a trolley, and then you could create a long train of multiples of the trolleys, and then interconnect all the cabinets on the front side, so when it's face down it's on the lower side, and then tilt the whole system with the grid, and then create a maximum compression when going from the horizontal state face down to the vertical phase, and then there's maximum compression between the cabinets, so it's very easy then to set the correct desired angle between the cabinets. So the trick is you always go back to the ideal position of flat on the floor, curvature by lifting up the system, maximum compression, then setting the correct angle, and when you tilt it further, when you hoist the whole array further down in complete vertical position, then it automatically falls into the correct angle, the desired and setup angle.
Well, very good. Thank you so much for your time, Tom. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Certainly a very clear sounding system. I've had the pleasure of using it a couple of times, and I hope you'll all come and check it out. It's Jim Wright for Tourtechtv, and thank you, Tom, back.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.